Bet you didn't expect to see me again. Today's video is going to be on my personal thoughts on Jurassic Park. I own an actual lab. This is an actual lab coat. I've worked in a lab before. I know what I'm talking about right now. Yeah, unlike Warhammer, I know what I'm talking about this time. So this will hopefully be a bit better. But today I'm going to be talking about the obvious and the obscure parts of Jurassic Park, considering how there's actually a lot of hidden information in books, games, just even in the movies, and some of it is my own design and creation. Yeah, I drew that. Can you even see it properly? Cool. A little bit. Christ. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I do hope this is clear enough for everyone. There's raptors of Jurassic Park. First of all, they are extremely inaccurate. Like, absolutely. Christ, yeah. You already knew they were like the size of a big chicken, but so abhorred. Gene editing and stuff. But what I'll be talking about is the raptors in the park, not what they're about. So at the start of Jurassic Park, you get the scene, you get the raptor pen, you know, you get the gate guy, he pulls it up, raptor hits it, knocks it, the whole metal thing over somehow. Guy falls in, starts getting eaten, the ranger Muldoon goes, "Oh, shoot her, shoot her." But some people like to believe that that was the really intelligent big one, the one that they shot. When as a matter of fact, it's actually dead. That one actually died, because if you rewatch the film, it makes a whole bunch of dying noises, and he says to shoot it. Like, to kill, not to just disarm or stop. The thing just killed a person and then died as well. It was shot by likely a 12 gauge Spaz shotgun. Mostly just used in movie adaptation. But yes, there's the big one, which is the final raptor to die in the first film. That one is a hyper-intelligent sort of, maliciously intelligent type of deal. That's something that isn't good. But yes, there were roughly about 3 or 4 raptors by the end of Jurassic Park. You had the one locked in the control room. No, not control room. You had one locked in the substation, one in the freezer, which definitely died. That thing's dead. You had the one that hit its head, and you had the big one. The big one, I believe, was outside of all of this stuff. It was all doing its own thing. That's what I believe. But yeah, so first of all we have... Okay, so we have one locked in the substation, one locked in the freezer. Well, the substation one, that got out. That was the one that came back. That was the one following Ellie while she was running. Was likely stalking her, because you might misinterpret their intelligence. But then at the very end, you have the one that kills Muldoon is the big one. That is the her. But how am I going to represent that? There, the clever girl. So yes, after this, the one in the freezer dies. What's the freezer one? Yes, there were 3 in Jurassic Park. There were only 3. You had only the 3. Only 3 can be seen on screen at some point. But yeah, one's locked in the freezer, one's in the substation, and then you have the big one. Now the big one, that was the last one to die. That was the one to jump on the T-Rex, one was thrown into the T-Rex sculpture. That was the one. And then we have this one, which was first eaten easy peasy by the T-Rex. Those are the raptors. Those are the raptors in the first Jurassic Park. That's good. Now we have the Compsognathus from Jurassic Park. Now I will be talking about the book version. Now if you have not read the books, I will be going into a little bit of detail with the books. I have read enough of the books to know what I'm talking about, thankfully. Where's the Lost Worlds around here somewhere. But yes, I have read the books. I know the Compsognathus. It's definitely one of the horror aspects of Jurassic Park. So if you do not understand what I'm talking about, they ate babies in the book. Like they ate babies. Babies. They ate babies. Now, there is a unique aspect to this where the Compsognathus escapes Jurassic Park by going onto cargo ships, getting onto the backs of it like the rudders, or stowing away and being able to get away. After it gets to the mainland, they would start hunting, foraging, but that's the thing, they're bipedal lizards. We don't have those anymore, unless you count birds as lizards are now. But it is a bipedal reptile, a small stature, so nobody would probably understand what it was. Anybody in Costa Rica wouldn't understand what this is, but they'd probably expect it to be a bird. Now, something with the traditions in Costa Rica, I believe, if a bird comes around over to a child's crib, it will start chirping. It's a sign of good luck and good fortune. The child will be grown up and be a very good child. Well, in this case, mothers would go over because they hear a weird noise, they heard chirping, and they go, "Oh yay, it's a bird. A bird's come to visit my child, and it's going to bless them." And they're very happy. You hear the squeaking, and then you open the door, and the baby's fucking throat is ripped out because it's a dinosaur and it ate the baby. Now you may be wondering, why didn't the babies scream or something? Well, that's because in the books the Compsognathus is venomous. It has I believe a neurotoxin that completely stops the baby. It's the baby is just small enough that will sort of kick in really fast. The baby probably wouldn't be able to make a noise at all. You wouldn't know if it was there. But yes, the compies eat babies. So in the Lost World, you have the dickhead with the cattle prod zaps it, and all the compies eat them. Yay, or good luck. When if they had this in the fucking film, that would not be the same, because you'd absolutely like the guy for tasing a fucking child eater. But yeah, these things ate babies. Maybe running, I gave it the top hat and the cane. Well, in the special features for The Lost World, there's a part for the VFX artists, and they did a little thing with the thing. I can't talk about this funny or anything. It's just sad. I hate this. It ate babies. There's no funny out of that. I wish I could, but no. It just ate babies. Baby. This beauty right here with the dimple on its head is the Majangosaurus. Now, the Majangosaurus is actually native to Madagascar, if you did not know. But yes, while it was all disconnected, the last remnants of a carnivorous dinosaur, Majangosaurus was that. You find it in Madagascar. It's very fascinating to have a look at, but yeah. You would typically hunt mammals, but I'm not here to get into the scientific part yet. What I'm here to talk about is when it shows up. Now, Majangosaurus does not show up in the books. It shows up in the film, as in it's one of the pieces of genome that Dennis Nedry steals. It's very prominent. If you watch it and look out for it, you will instantly see it. But my personal canon is that there is a Majangosaurus out there in the park. But something that I will have to add is the Jurassic Park analog horror. If you don't know analog horror, it's it was the first expanse on the Backrooms. I know you hear Backrooms, haha, funny chasing Mickey Mouse, hee hee. But this is when it was actually scary. You didn't know anything about it. It was all just the bacteria monster, this fungus. It was all actual scary stuff, and it's all recorded and put on YouTube. It's same with the Mandela Catalogue. Wendigoon did a whole big video on that. It's amazing. You should go watch that. But there's a Jurassic Park analog horror, and it goes into a little bit of detail about the Majangosaurus. Now, to get a bit more detail on this, genetic cloning. Now, I'm not a geneticist, or a cloner for that matter, because that would be highly illegal from where I am, but cloning is time-consuming, expensive, and just very difficult in general. I know having even a complete genome doesn't even mean you'll be able to make a child properly. It was only able to clone one animal. It was a sheep in a biological womb. Now imagine trying to do that with an extinct creature. Over 65. He would be over 65 million years ago. But all you have of is literally bone that was turned into rock. It's not a bone anymore. It's just soft rock. And you have amber with a fucking mosquito inside that just so happens to have a segment of its blood, and that's not going to work. Well, imagine cloning something off of the fucking blood from 1 million years ago. It's basically impossible. Well, Genesis Jurassic Park, John Hammond made the park because he figured out some magical way of being able to figure it out better. Well, there'd obviously have to be different iterations, where the Triceratops, there'd be a 0.1. Not a 1.1, is 0.1. This is the test run. They produce it, the embryo comes out, and they have a look at it, it's like, that's fucked. It doesn't have a frill, it has 5 eyes, and has 16 different legs. The skin's missing or something, but genetically, I believe in the analog horror, it put it up to, the current model was about 2.4. It was version 2.4. It was better, just the only problems with it was its stunted snout. Stunted snout, lacerations on its face, and scabs that it kept on scratching at because its face was fucked up, and it was like a dinosaur version of a fucking pug, and that's horrid. It's terrible. It's completely terrible. But yeah, Majangosaurus was. It already has a pug snout. You didn't have to, make it up to there. That's more of what it looks like. I'll go into more detail. It would look similar, something like that. It's just poxed and red. I have red. I sound frantic, I know, but I'm not insane, I swear. Yeah, it would look something like that, but imagine a more hyper-realistic lizard sort of deal. But yes, the Majangosaurus from Jurassic Park, not in book or film, but in me personally, its genome is there. It might not have been made, but for me personally, I believe it was there. And it just didn't do it. The visitation would have gone, and then they're like, oh no, it's going to the Majangosaurus paddock. It turns them around like a loop or something where they can just take them back home, because you wouldn't want a tour that can't go back the way it came. Stupid. But yes, that is the Majangosaurus from my personal perspective. Next is the Dilophosaurus. I do not have the scientific name, so I'll just have to go with Dilophosaurus, but it's not like I'm calling the raptors Velociraptor. Dilophosaurus. Now, the difference between this one in the books and the movies is the Dilophosaurus is actually fully grown. It's like about that tall, fully grown. I'm not joking either. That's just how it is. It likely did not spit venom, but there's nothing saying it would, but there's also nothing saying it wouldn't. So the frill is absolutely a no. The crest could have even just been a clump of grass that fossilized with its skull. That is a thing that you can look up, and that is true. But yes, the Dilophosaurus in the movies, I believe, me personally, I believe that they were just juveniles. They were curious, they were running around in the park, but yeah, they were just juveniles. And I believe that there were two of them when they attacked Dennis Nedry, the fat guy, raincoat man, you know. But one of them was on the outside exploring, while the other one was behind him and went into the car. No, not go into the car. After Dennis opened the door and hit his head, jumped in, was in there, and then while that happened, it got locked inside and it just got him. Now, the movie version, you know, you got him slipping and it makes a funny noise, and yeah, he's wearing the yellow raincoat jacket. It's like, stick, stupid, stick. In the books, it's more of there is a gate he can't get through with his car, so he gets out, he has a look around, you know, he starts walking back, and he looks at the end of the road, and he sees something staring at him, like as big as him, and it's just staring. It's like a tiger or something where it will roar at him, or a T-Rex where it will, you know, attack it. No, it just stood there, staring at him. Not in a curious way, just observing, watching him. And while he's watching it spits at him, and it hits his right about here, and it's gross and yucky and black, and he's like, ugh, gross. It spits at him again. This time it hits him in the neck. This time, you know, neck. And he's getting a bit worried, so he runs over to the car, gets sprayed in the eyes. Now, this Dennis Nedry, I do not believe, is wearing glasses. So it just got him right in the eyes. He's not trying to rub it off. No, it got in his eyes. And the thing about the venom is, in the movies, it's just like ow, it hurts or something. In the books, it describes in detail what it does to you. It's as well, I believe it was also a neurotoxin, so it would be affecting the nervous system and the bodily functions. Now, this one affected his eyes. He couldn't move. He stopped moving. Like all bodily functions would slowly drop away, but his eyes were blurred. He started seeing white spots in his eyes as he watched the thing slowly approach him and just stare at him. He's standing there rubbing his eyes, and before he realizes it, he feels something really warm. He feels down, turns out the thing sliced his stomach open, and his intestines are falling out. He tries pulling them back in, but it's just not going to work. It's futile. He can't even move properly anymore. He collapses to the ground. He lands, his hands land on something. He thinks it's a tree bark or something. No, it's the Dilophosaur's feet. He's feeling the feet. He looks up with the white spots in his eyes, and the last thing he sees is the jaws going around his head. But yes, this is Jurassic Park is fucked up. Nobody's told you this, but it's fucked. Yeah, the Dilo ate him and killed him. Now, to get back on track on this whole horror and depressing route, that's not accurate. That the frill's not accurate. It wouldn't have those. It's more of that look. We don't know if it's had a crest, as I said before, but typically it would just be similar to something of something that you see like a child draw. It's a dinosaur. It's a big two-legged dinosaur with arms. You know, it'll eat meat and stuff. But that's pretty much it. But the books are fucked, man. Yeah, that is the Dilophosaurus for you. Next creature we'll be going over is exclusively on the Jurassic Park Telltale game. Now, it was a terrible game, don't get me wrong, but the Troodon was a very unique addition to that game. Problem is, nowadays we do know that the Troodon is not an actual dinosaur, but the family that it derives from, Troodonte, I believe, is still called the Troodonte family, even though the Troodon is not a real dinosaur anymore. That's not something I have to say about Jurassic Park, that was just something at the time. Now, the thing with Troodon is its obvious large eyes. Now, I do know that the Troodon's believed eye sockets were much larger than a usual animal. So obviously that would have been some sort of adaptation that would happen and allow it to see in the dark easier. But what they also added was that it was also venomous. Shockingly, this is the third venomous creature I've been talking about. The thing with the Troodon is it has a hallucinogenic property. The person will start seeing things, psyching out. It's a hallucinogen. Basically, somebody gets bitten by it and they start tripping balls, but it's also a venom as well, so it's as well as a neurotoxin. It affects the nervous system, stops the body from moving, yada yada yada, as I've said before. But the Troodon in the Telltale games was designed by, produced by not Dr. Henry Wu, but a female scientist that remained on the park while the whole park was going to shit. I do not remember the scientist's name, but Hammond specifically told her to not do it. Don't let them in the park and just euthanize them. They're monsters. They have no place in Jurassic Park. Well, she didn't do that, and she pretty much had them locked up and just had them hidden away. Well, you know, when the whole park lost all power and everything started going to shit, well, they also escaped. And all the people that were still on the island, as well as the Telltale people, had to put up with these things. Yeah. But in all sense, that was pretty much the Troodon from Jurassic Park. Telltale game. Yeah. Very cool. The Tylosaurus featured exclusively in the Jurassic Park Telltale game yet again. Now, I do not believe anybody expects the Telltale game or imagines that to be canon anymore. But I like to believe that it is, and I believe the Tylosaurus was shocking to say the least. It showed up out of nowhere. It was like the deep blue sea with dinosaurs. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not much of a paleontologist with marine aspirations, so I'm much more of the classic dinosaurs. So the Tylosaurus I know not much about, but it's I believe very, very similar to the Mosasaurus, but like much smaller. I would say it would still be, whale sized, but nothing to rival the blue whale or anything. But Tylosaurus shows up in the game. It eats someone, I think. I don't remember, or the characters just have a death scene and then... Yeah, but the Tylosaurus isn't much to go off of. It shows up for one episode. I think it was called the Deep in the Telltale game, so there wasn't much to it. It showed up and then never is spoken of ever again. So I'm going to believe that it, unlike the Mosasaur, it did not get out and it just starved to death. Or they euthanized it when they got the park back up and running, if it was still alive. Is the rifle that they use in the film and the novelization. I do not remember the particular name of the gas rifle, but I do know that the venom that they used is from the cone snail, also known as... the scientific name for the cone snail is Conus purpurensis, I believe. Conus purpurensis. Now, obviously, it's shockingly a neurotoxin. What a surprise. Well, the cone snail, I don't think it would work as much on the film. Now, I do know that the cone snail's venom is very, very potent, enough to kill roughly 700 people. But the fact of the matter is, it instantly paralyzes you and eventually you will die. Now, most people that are paralyzed by the venom will die because they are paralyzed and their body will start functioning and then they'll suffocate or drown. Well, what I want to know is they'd have to give it No, actually, yes, but the venom would be a lot more potent. So in the film, they lock it up, they send it out, but it starts going into cardiac arrest from the venom. Now, obviously, they will give it a sedative. No, not a sedative. A stimulant to wake it up. That's when the whole San Diego incident happens. But the cone snail venom, yeah. If I fuck around, I'll find out. Sure as hell will. But yeah, cone snail venom is highly potent. So if you see a weirdly shaped sort of conical sort of a shell sort of in this shape, this sort of shape, don't fucking pick it up, leave it, or if it's like in a public area, call the authorities or get a lifeguard and tell them what you've found, because that could not only kill a child, that could kill like a 300 fucking kilogram person. I don't know who's 300 kilograms, but they would still die. Yeah, don't touch the cone snail. It is deadly, as usual in Australia. Now, for anyone that has seen The Lost World and has seen the Velociraptors, they would know that they looked a lot different than in the first film. I call them the tiger raptors for the distinctive orange coloration with the black stripes on their backs and snouts. Now, any normal person would probably be able to figure it out. It's like, oh, it looked cooler and more colourful. Well, for my biology pseudo degree, is it was a adaptation. It was a genetic adaptation that arose. Now, I don't believe that they evolved in this way. I think that InGen thought it looked very cool or something, so they started adding it into their genes, and that all happened, and thus the Tiger Raptors was born. You know, red coloration or the black stripes. It's so cool and fast. When it had its own practical degree, where I believe that the raptors were smart enough to understand that having tall grass and being able to camouflage yourself like that is a very useful skill to have. So the raptors started using it and started using ambush techniques, similar to in the Lost World film, where they started attacking the people from under the ground, except for the really big buff guy, in which the raptor fully jumped on him. But apart from that, yeah, there were a lot more. They were very sneaky, same as in the first film. We'll be going over the raptors in number 3 shortly, after I get into Jurassic Park 3, after all this conspiracy shit. But yes, it's I wouldn't say it's an intentional thing, but InGen just happened to make them even smarter and sneakier. One of the final things I'll be talking about is the Carnotaurus of the Lost World book. Now, anybody that has read the Lost World book would know that they were unique in a sense. Now, Carnotaurus means meat-eating bull. So, this Carnotaurus in the book, I'll cut right to the chase, they could camouflage. They could camouflage almost perfectly. If you were standing there and looking out, trying to find them, and there was some sort of forested area, and there wasn't really any light to show its shadow, you wouldn't know it was there. You wouldn't know. The only way that they were able to see it was using spotlights, which would only come on every second or so, and they just kept on getting closer and closer and closer, and they were horrifying. Later on, more sure one shows up in The Lost World, but we'll be getting into that. But the book Carnotaurs were a lot more scary. I just wish Jurassic Park got into a lot more of the horror aspect of all dinosaurs being sneaky. Now, what a lot of avid Jurassic Park fans wouldn't know is there was actually a planned Site C for Jurassic Park 3 in which instead of just going back to Isla Sorna, they'd go to another place when they scrapped that idea. It was a very early on thing where it showed up in like a pre-releasing toy or something where it had it on the back and it was said to be cloned at Site C. They scrapped the idea, and now I think for continuity's sake they have Isla Nublar as Site A, and then Isla Sorna on the western side being Site B, and then on the eastern side being Site C, I believe, if I'm correct on that. I don't know if I am. The raptor windpipe that they 3D printed. Forget about the phallic object looking thing. I tried to draw it. I did it off of memory. But the Velociraptor windpipe. Now, that would never happen unless you found like a perfectly preserved fucking windpipe because the raptor fell into some mud and it was quickly preserved, something like that. But that wouldn't happen because a windpipe, I believe, is made of cartilage. Now, that's a very big problem because cartilage does not fossilize as well as normal bone. That's why we have no only teeth in the jaw of the megalodon, because the rest of it just all decayed away. But 3D printing a raptor windpipe, if they were to even get something slightly preserved, they'd have to use some sort of technique to be able to actually 3D scan it properly to the point where it would be perfect, and then being able to print that, and then even then I don't even believe it would work. So a raptor windpipe will never happen. Sorry to all of you people that want to sound like a dinosaur with a fucking thing. Raptor windpipe will never happen. It's never going to come true. I'm sorry to tell you this. I'll now be going over the raptors of Jurassic Park 3. Very big role in that. But specifically as of right now, the raptor matriarchy, which was something very fascinating in the film, where a matriarchy is when the leadership is female, which is quite rare in the animal kingdom, I believe. You know, Pride of Lions, you have the alpha lion because he's the strongest, when I believe that the raptors have a matriarchy due to the fact that only the female raptor would be the one producing the children, so the male raptors would want to be impressing the female, in which the female would have the most amount of dominance and, you know, power over them. That's what I believe. Now, that is a very high amount of intellect. I do know that lions do a similar thing, but they have it with males, but this is just something a bit more high grade than lions. Now, the next part I'll be going over is their coloration. Now, obviously they have a different coloration to the raptors in Lost World, where instead of tiger-like, they're a lot more bird-like, where the females have a much dull color, a very dull coloration to them, spotted black and whites, while the males have a lot overall grey with blues and reds and yellows, with even quills at the back of that, which would indicate that they have the most colourful male raptor would be allowed to mate with the female, producing that offspring, making those ones just as colourful as he is, and eventually over time making them more and more colourful. Well, I believe that the raptors had some sort of advanced growth speed, where they'd grow up much faster, reach sexual maturity a lot more faster, and I believe that's why there were so many eggs, along with InGen making more different types of looking raptors, you know, a bit more bird-like in a sense. But for that is the raptors of Jurassic Park number 3. The Spinosaurus of Jurassic Park 3, which I personally believe was the first real hybrid that they created. due to the fact it's extremely inaccurate. I believe that they added T-Rex Stratosaurus or Giganotosaurus DNA, some big theropod dinosaur, put into it, making it a lot more bipedal. Now, we know that Spinosaurus could have walked on just 2 legs, but would most likely walk on all 4s, along with its increased height. Now, the Spinosaurus with its sail already makes it one of the largest carnivores just ever. But the difference between this Spinosaurus in the film and the Spinosaurus in real life is that we believe that the Spinosaurus in real life was a pescivore. So pescivores eat mainly only fish. Now, we know that because well, its environment, the way it looks, you know, the long snout, obviously. But it would mainly eat fish, but if it had a chance, it would most likely scavenge off of decaying corpses. Maybe in trying times it would start killing something else. But the film version is even bigger, stands on 2 legs with its arms being a lot less developed than the Spinosaurus we know of, along with the sail being much smaller, along with the fin-like tail that we know it had being a lot more muted and just being a regular tail. Now, this shows that InGen was definitely fucking around with this thing's genome, or they just so happened to make the wrong Spinosaurus somehow. But I believe that they saw this thing and it's like, that's not cool. And so they started beefing it up a bit, giving it more muscle, muted some of the things, and then gave it some red coloration. Make it look cooler for audiences. So that's why I believe the Spinosaurus in Jurassic Park 3 was the real first hybrid dinosaur to show up. That is what I believe. Now we're getting into some creepy shit. Project Evolution was a theme park by Universal where the island mysteriously runs out of power, and in Halloween they had an event where a character named Dr. Birkin made a bunch of hybrid dinosaur humans. Human dinosaurs. There was a half man, half Dilophosaurus, where half of the face was Dilophosaur, and there was this Triceratops man. But then we get into the real creepy shit. You'll see. You will seriously see. I don't have much to talk about this, but I have more to talk about when you see what I'm planning right. This is the head of the Grebnadu. Now, you may be asking, what the fuck is a Grebnadu? Well, that was a hybrid, and I have it's what it's made out of, so I will be reading this off. It is sea snake, octopus, anglerfish, and various other unspecified aquatic animals. Now, already, sea snake, octopus, and anglerfish, that's a pretty fucked up thing to make, but what the fuck is that? Don't get me wrong, it's fucking sick, and there's like 3, the only thing we know of it is its head, which is right there, and I'll likely have a better picture here, but I have seen a picture which was much better, and it should be right about here. And this one is a very unique design. I haven't seen anything similar to this. It has the snake orientation, along with bit of a shark sort of body size and shape, with the scales. It's a unique design. So that is my personal information on it. But apart from what is actually canon about the Grebnadu, just the head. That's it. That's all we know of it. It is one of the most hidden, sort of sneaky designs anywhere. I have the whole thing up here. I go down and yeah. The Grebnadu resembles a large snake-like creature with a large head, massive fins, and a long split jaw with a sharp beak above. Below the Grebnadu's small black eyes are 2 fish-like barbs, possibly bioluminescent lures, hanging down its face. The snake-like body of the Grimdaroo is smooth with spines down its back. The long lower jaw folds up in the Grimdaroo's throat. That's it. And that's off of fucking fan wiki, so I don't know how much of that is actually true, and some people just looked at the snake one and is like, yeah, that's probably right. So take all that with a grain of salt. Literally only listen to the part where it's talking about the head. That is the only part which is canon. That is it. It is one of my most favourite designs. It's very lovely, and I actually am very proud of this. So Jurassic Park Trespasser was a very old first-person shooter. But the unique part about it was the fact that it had a lot more physics-based stuff. So all the dinosaurs would have this really janky, wobbly, stompy movement, where it didn't look natural, but when you either trained it or killed it with a gun, they would flop over all this stuff, as well as the character's arm. You move it around and it will... And the way that you figure out how much health you have is you look down and you see the tattoo on your tits. Yeah. That's how you knew. There was like a heart tattoo right there, and the amount of red on it is the amount of health you have, and every time you get hit there's a lot less. It's a very unique integrated system, just definitely would not fly today. But it was... I didn't play it, I'm too young, because I was born about JP3. So yeah, Trespasser looked very cool, and I would probably play it if I got the opportunity to. So yeah. Now, comic book number 1, I believe was named Jurassic Park Redemption. If I got that wrong and it was the other one, then it should be down here somewhere. So the thing with this one is the plot of it is that I believe Dodgson had a second informant, and this was Dr. Wu. So when he was leaving, he already had different parts because he wanted to leave for some reason. So he leaves, and somewhere in the Montana desert, I believe, a Carnotaurus gets loose and starts eating fucking cows. There's this whole authority thing, a whole bunch of dinosaurs break loose. So, you know, the main characters come back together. But Tim and Lex are all grown up now, and I believe Tim is actually in on it, trying to perfect his grandfather's work. In the end, Wu and the other guy get eaten by raptors or something, and he can't get away. They all get a redemption arc, and then a Giganotosaurus shows up, and it's about the size of a fucking mountain. Everybody got like a little pissy about the Giga in Dominion. Well, you certainly haven't read the comic because it was fucking ginormous. Like if I can't get a picture up of it, it was massive. It was huge. It was unbelievably massive. It was unrealistic. But yeah, that was the general gist of the first comic. It was like a 6-part series. Yeah. Now the second comic book series, which was another about 6-parter, was called Deadly Game, where a like this Colombian drug lord takes over Isla Nublar after everyone leaves, and has a whole drug operation there, and a whole bunch of stuff happens, and then the CIA brings in this secret agent guy to get on the island and take it all down. Well, he definitely doesn't get that, almost gets eaten by a T-Rex. Then there's this lady with all the velociraptors that treat her like one of their own, and then there's this whole big thing, and then the guy, drug lord, gets eaten by the T-Rex. There isn't much to it, but that was it. It was a quick thing, but enough to satiate fans, I think. So yeah, it was a thing that happened. So that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, even though I think I've said that yesterday anyway. But yes, the next one will be Jurassic World. We'll go over that other trilogy, along with other miscellaneous parts from that thing. But as of right now, let me get real with you. Thank you for watching this video to the very end. For some reason, you actually decided to watch this whole thing. But yeah, thank you for watching my video, and hopefully I will be doing more science stuff, which I feel like I'm a bit better at, hopefully, if you actually like that. So please have a nice day, have a lovely day. Thank you, bye.